Life is a journey and sometimes can be a lonely road. When friends and loved ones forsake you, all you got to do is to be bold. I knew it years ago that those who undermined me had their minds undermined, but I never mind. They should keep on undermining because I'm a real good. I must undergo mining. Talking of mining, it leads to discovery. We mine to discover, we learn to discover, we observe to discover. Friends, life is a journey and sometimes can be a lonely road. When friends and loved ones forsake you, all you got to do is to be bold. I knew it years ago that those who undermined me had their minds undermined, but I never mind. They should keep on undermining because I'm a real good. I must undergo mining. Talking of mining, it leads to discovery. We mine to discover, we learn to discover, we observe to discover. Friends can uncover you at the same time discover you. But I don't want to discover you, I would rather discover more, so I go on the internet and I listen to words of wisdom and intellect. Availability of information, interviews of great men and women all over the diaspora and all nations. Creativity at its best, dexterity of research, no need to go through any formal education. I introduce you to the Discovery Show. Let your friends and your family know the struggles before the blow, their highs and their lows. Pay attention to this show, it will make you feel at ease. The Discovery Show on YouTube got the steez. Now Perry, the presenter, please pose for the camera. I want to hear you say cheese. We are airborne like a flu. I want to hear you sneeze. True. The Discovery Show is live on air, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. See ya. TDS TV, Yearn to Learn. Host, Perry Precious. Executive Producer, James. Hi, you are welcome to the Discovery Show TDS TV here on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, and on Twitter. My name is Precious Adadidiodu, ably produced by James Kwabena Opong. Here on the Discovery Show TDS TV, we say Yearn to Learn. This is a show that seeks to interview professionals in the diaspora and beyond who are making significant impact in the area of healthcare, politics, religion, academia, and any other field. So basically, we seek to delve into the lives of people. We want to know how their journeys have been and also to learn from them and get accurate information so that together we can rise. So thanks very much for joining in here on the Discovery Show. Please share this link here on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The name is The Discovery Show TDS TV. Today we are privileged to be interviewing another person. She is making a significant impact in her own profession of nursing. She is actually a Band 7 nurse. In other words, an infection prevention and control specialist nurse. And we are privileged to have Mrs. Josephine Arthur Amoah with us. You are welcome to the Discovery Show, Josephine.
Thank you, Precious. It's lovely to be here.
Great, great. Thanks very much. For those of us who don't know you so well and those who are watching, tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Josephine?
So yeah, like you said, my name is Josephine Arthur. I am a specialist nurse in infection control, but my background is mainly in general and surgical nursing here in the UK. I'm more into mentorship and coaching of nurses and student nurses. It's something that is very close to my heart. So, I mean, as the time go on, we'll talk a bit more about that. But yeah, I'm vested in the professional and personal development of nurses in the UK as well as in Africa.
Great. We will definitely delve into what you do in your current role. But just tell us a bit about yourself. What has been your role, the road to becoming a nurse in the UK? Where did you start from? I know, right from the name, a lot of people will safely assume that you're from Ghana,
yes,
which is right. Did you migrate as a qualified nurse to the UK or you came here to train? Tell us a bit about your journey within 2-3 minutes.
Right. So, like you said, I'm from Ghana. I was born and bred in Ghana, came to the UK in my mid-teens. So I had to start from the bottom in terms of education. So I went to sixth form, did a business GNVQ, didn't like it so much. My parents suggested nursing to me, so I took it on because obviously I love people and I love interacting with people, helping people. So to able to become a nurse or to study nursing in the university, there were things I had to do in the background. So I had to go to college for 2 years. The first year was doing NVQ level 2 in health and social care. And then the second year was doing NVQ level 3 in access to nursing. But prior to that, because I came from Ghana and I didn't have the GCSE, I had to do maths and English GCSE before going to college to do the health and social care. So I've been kind of in education ever since I've been in this country. I've never stopped, always learning.
Interesting. Anyway, as they say, there's no end to an education, isn't it? So that's brilliant. So obviously what you're saying is that if there's someone who has also moved to, I mean, the UK, wherever you're coming from, and you didn't already have a qualification in nursing, you can start from somewhere if you're already there, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I did it, and I know lots of people that have done it. You don't have to actually come with a nursing degree to start. If you have it, fair enough. But if you haven't got it and you've got a desire to do nursing, there's a lot of routes into nursing. Even if you've got a undergraduate degree in something else, you can always do a postgraduate degree in nursing to become a nurse. So there's a lot of routes into nursing.
That's right. That's right. Thanks very much for sharing with us. How was it? How was the experience training here? Of course, like you said, you didn't do your undergraduate studies in Ghana, but how was the education here for you? How did you get along? And also, when you qualified as a nurse, how was the experience, especially in the few months and first year?
In the first year. So learning in the UK was a bit different because, I mean, if you compare it to Ghana, where you're like, you don't have many books and you're expected to kind of like chew and pour. It was a bit different. It took a lot of getting used to. But I think if I were to compare, I prefer the way the studies are done in this country because it was very independent. You know, you go to lectures almost every day, but a lot of the learning was left up to you. You had to do your own research, your own learning to acquire that kind of knowledge that you needed. When I qualified as a nurse obviously the course that I did was a 3-year course at the university. And when I qualified as a nurse, it was a bit difficult because suddenly, you know, nobody's holding your hand anymore. You're kind of like thrown into the deep end and you had to kind of learn to swim and learn to survive. And I remember one scenario where I was 2 weeks post-qualified. I went on a shift and the senior nurse I was meant to work with called in sick. So I was left on my own with a healthcare assistant. And my goodness, how I survived that night, I don't know. But there are so many stories like that, similar to mine. You just kind of get thrown into the deep end. Obviously, you have people to kind of hold your hands, but because the workforce is already short-staffed and the hand holding is not as much as you would expect because everybody is so short-staffed. You just kind of get on with it. But it was quite terrifying, if I can say that, in the first year or so, in the first few months post-qualification.
I guess for now you are so strong and so
experienced. Don't even get me started.
There's nothing to shake.
I'm a superwoman. No. I've been there. I've done it. I've got a T-shirt.
Fantastic. Great. Viewers, we are speaking to Mrs. Josephine Arthur Amoah. She's a nurse, she's a coach, she's a mentor, she's doing a lot of things. We're going to talk about that briefly. But obviously, as she said, wherever you're coming from, you can still start your nursing process here. Even if you have an undergrad, irrespective of the field, you can still do a master's and pre-registration in nursing, and that will get you a qualification as a nurse straight away. So if you yourself or you know someone who wants to go into nursing and already not a qualified nurse, there are a lot of routes for you. And stay tuned. Be on this channel. We're definitely going to update you with more details on this. So tell us, you've just shared a bit of experience with us when you were on the ward. You were band 7 and you moved from a band 5 to a band 7. Tell us briefly, what was your journey like moving from a band 5 to a band 7? Tell us a bit about that. Take about 5 minutes to speak to us about that.
Okay, so I was qualified for about 8 years before I got the band 7 job. But what happened was that I was in the NHS for a very long time, different wards, and I think I was on one ward for about 4 years or so. And I just didn't see myself progressing. And there were a lot of racism. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of what's going on in this country against, you know, the BME nurses and healthcare professionals. And I just thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to progress in this place. So I moved to a private hospital. And again, it wasn't racism as such, and in that place, there was a lot of opportunities, but it was more of, I don't know if you've worked in a private hospital before, but the progression is quite limited because it's private, it's quite small. And then I kind of felt myself suffocating because I love to challenge myself a bit more. So I was there for, again, another 3 years or so. And I moved to another private hospital. And I was there for about 4 months or so when a Band 7 job became available. Now, it was for an infection prevention and control lead nurse. And I had no prior experience in infection control, but in my previous job, before I moved to this particular private hospital, I was working as infection prevention and control link practitioner. So I was kind of like the link between the ward and the infection control lead. So I was doing a bit of IPC audits and stuff like that. And so I had that interest already. I had that passion for IPC. So when this job became available, I mean, somebody was meant to do that job. The person pulled out last minute. And then the director of nursing kind of sent an email around asking, is there anybody who's interested or anybody who knows anybody that's interested? And with my passion and love for IPC, I said to myself, look, why not just try it? So I reached out, went for an informal meeting. She told me what the job is all about, what it entails, the expectations, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, you know what, why not? I'll try it. So she booked me for the interview. I went for the interview and I got a job. And that's how come I just went from a Band 5 to a Band 7. And it sounds like, obviously, you know, I just kind of made that move. But you have to remember that I was 8 years post-qualified. So I had that knowledge, experience, and skills behind me, those transferable skills that I could bring from the Band 5 job into the Band 7 role. So even though I didn't have the IPC qualification or IPC experience, I had other experience as a nurse. And I think that's the kind of like the basics that you need in this kind of specialist roles. You need that nursing experience, nursing knowledge, nursing skills. So that's what helped me to acquire that role.
That's particularly interesting, and I want us to explore that a little bit more. So first of all, the first thing we want to really tell people watching us, if you're a nurse especially, is that you don't necessarily need to move from Band 5 to Band 6 before you get to Band 7. You can move from Band 5, skip Band 6, and get to Band 7. So that is the encouragement Josephine is giving you today. That's the first thing. So please go out there, start checking for Band 7 roles if you're Band 5. If you're Band 6, start checking for Band 8, and I'm sure you definitely
exactly. Well, the jump from Band 6 to Band 8 might be a bit difficult, but
all things are possible.
Well, true. It's true. You're right. You're quite right, actually. Yeah.
Great. Now, you rightly mentioned that between Band 5 and Band 7, you work for almost 8 years. Tell us about that frustration. And you did mention earlier how you changed so many jobs. I want us to, speak to those who are watching us. There are times that people stay in the same job for quite a very long time, hoping that there'll be some sort of opportunity within their ward specifically to get that promotion. And it's still not coming, but perhaps they don't have what it takes to move on. You know, not everybody has that will to move on to another facility. I mean, changing jobs itself is a big deal. Moving from one city or town to the other is a big deal. Tell us, what sort of encouragement or what will you tell those who are watching us who may be in a similar situation? They want some sort of career progression. It's not coming, and they are in a dilemma as to whether to move or to still wait so that the opportunity will come to them. What do you have to tell them?
I mean, if Muhammad can't go to the mountain has to go to Muhammad. You don't have to wait. I mean, gone are the days when you have to wait for a promotion or a job role to open up in your ward and then you have to apply for it. No, we've kind of gone past that stage. At this stage, you know, nurses are hotcakes. I mean, if I tell you the amount of emails that I get in my inbox every single day asking me that, like, they've got this job, they've got that job. You have every knowledge, you have the skills, you have the experience, you have the know-how to do any job as a nurse. As long as you've got that basic foundation, you've got your nursing degree or a diploma, whatever, you've got your nursing experience. What it is that people become so comfortable, and then when with becoming comfortable, you become a bit complacent.
Okay.
And I think, especially as Africans, I'll just use myself because obviously I know more about African nurses. Yeah, we just kind of get so comfortable and we're a bit scared to kind of go into the unknown. You understand? But what I'm here to say is that you have to make that leap of faith, whatever it's called. Just kind of jump, make that move, you know, because opportunities don't come to us anymore. You have to kind of fight for what it is that you feel like that belongs to you in terms of opportunities. I was in my second job, and I thought, I've been here. I know that I'm not going to progress because of how the system was. The racism was just a bit too much. So I moved to a private hospital. And one thing is that when I went to that private hospital, I actually applied for a senior job. When I moved from the first NHS job, the second job was in a private hospital, and it was a band 6 nurse, but they wanted me to work 7 nights on, 7 nights off. And at that time, my son was about 2 years old at that time. So there was no way I could do 7 nights, come home and get any sleep. It was not safe. And this job was about nearly 30 miles away, and I wasn't driving at that time. But I applied for that job. They gave me the job, but they gave me as a band 5. You understand? Anyway, that's just by the way. What I'm trying to get to is that when I got that job, I wasn't driving. This job was more than nearly 30 miles away. I had to take a taxi, a train, and another taxi every single time, back and forth. And every month I was spending nearly £500 a month on transportation. But I knew what I wanted, and I knew what opportunities that being in that job will open up for me. Okay. And it did open up that job for me, because when I was in that job, I was an IPC link practitioner. And that's what opened that door for me when it came to getting the job as a band 7 from a band 5. You understand? Yeah. So it's like you have to make sacrifices. It's not all about being so comfortable where you are and what you are. If you want to progress, you need to make some sacrifices. You know, just kind of like forgo some things to achieve what you want to achieve, or to get what you want to get. If not, you'll just be stuck in a rut and you'll be so unhappy. And what's the point of being unhappy in a job? It's not worth it.
Wow. What is the point of being unhappy in a job? It's not worth it. And
No.
I have spoken to a lot of international nurses who stay on perhaps a ward for a very long time, and they're only hoping that there will be some sort of opportunity. It's not always bad, but hey, the point here is that what Josephine is telling us is, if you feel you are not getting that sort of progression you need, please make a move. Don't feel bad that you need to move. And sometimes, you know, there's this sort of, in quotes, loyalty. I mean, you've been spoken, especially for those who have been recruited from overseas. There's that sort of loyalty. So, okay, they brought me here. Why should I move? But that is the encouragement. Yeah,
you are dispensable. You are replaceable.
Absolutely.
All right. God forbid, if something goes wrong, your employer will throw you under the bus. I'm not lying to you. It's happened. I've witnessed that several times. You understand? Everybody is replaceable. Those that, if I can say this, those that lost their lives during the COVID, their jobs were advertised within 2 weeks. You understand? The nurses, the international nurses, the African nurses, even the whites, anybody that was in the healthcare profession, healthcare sector that lost their lives during the COVID, their jobs are not still vacant. Within weeks, their jobs were re-advertised, and other people are doing that job. So you can't, there's no loyalty. You understand? It's nice. You feel like, oh, you know, they brought you here, they gave you the opportunity. But when they brought you here, it was a win-win situation. You're coming to help them fill their vacancy, their gaps, and then they also pay you for your efforts and your time. You understand? And what I do when I see international nurses, I do this all the time. And some listen to me, others don't, but that's their own problem. I try to let them kind of, you know, think about where they want to see themselves. Okay, you're here, your employer is giving you 3-year contract, 2-year contract. But what is your plan beyond that 2 years, that 3 years? Where do you want to be? Do you want to specialize? Because you don't want to wait till the end of that 2 or 3 years to think of where you want to be. If you want to specialize, or if you want to be anything else than where you are, you need to start planning from now. You understand? Because if you're planning from now, then you know what actions you need to take, i.e., if you need to go back to school to do some courses, if you need to undertake any shadowing shift or whatever. If you don't plan now, it will be a bit too late when it gets to that 3 or 2 year time, and you're going to have to kind of start from scratch. You need to start building the foundation from now. And so when it gets to that end of 2 or 3 years, you have a plan, a solid, a concrete plan in place. Because if not, you'll be found wanting.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you very much, Josephine, for sharing. Viewers, we are speaking to Mrs. Josephine Arthur Amoah. She's actually an infection prevention and control specialist nurse. So she keeps saying IPC. That is infection prevention and control. So
Yeah.
Josephine is a nurse here in the UK. She moved from band 5 to band 7. So she didn't go through band 5, band 6, band 7, but she moved from 5 to 7. And as she mentioned, she worked for about 8 years before getting this promotion. So tell us, if there's someone watching us who perhaps have worked for just a year. I have a colleague who worked within 2 years. She had moved from band 5 to 7. So I mean, it doesn't, if you are watching us, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to work for that long before you get that promotion. So tell us, within that period of 8 years, what were some of the things you were doing? I think you mentioned 1 or 2 earlier. You mentioned you were a linked nurse and all that. Tell us, what are some of the things, the transferable skills you gained within that period to put you in a better position so that when the opportunity presented itself, you were able to grab it?
So for me, I was doing a bit of networking. I was asking lots of questions to the right people. Okay. And it was a bit tough for me because I was working full time. I had a young child. I always wanted to go and do some postgraduate or any other courses, but the time and the money, things were not, ready for me to get into that kind of space yet. So apart from the networking, asking the questions, trying to, find what I need to do to kind of progress, it was quite tough. I mean, if anybody's been following my journey, I always talk about how tough it was. The opportunities were not there. They were not there. And I think there were some people that kind of made it their career to kind of make my life a misery, but I won't go too much into that. But apart from obviously networking, doing a lot of reading, a lot of asking questions, I didn't do too much. And I think that may be seen in a bad light, but I think at that point in time, I couldn't stretch myself any further, unfortunately. But I was actively looking for job. I was actively putting myself forward. Let's say they want someone to help with audits or someone to kind of take charge of. I was taking charge of shifts. I was sometimes the nurse in charge. You understand? Because you need that leadership experience as well, the exposure to it. Because when you're a band 7, there's a lot of expectations on you to lead a service or a system. So I was taking up leadership when things became available for leading a shift or whatever. I was putting myself forward to do that. So I mean, I was doing a lot of little things behind the scenes, but not major stuff.
Okay. So I mean, in essence, what you said is that first of all, if you have any specialty that you've decided to go into, you can serve as a link nurse for that specialty. So let's say if it's infection prevention and control, volunteer and be a link nurse for that. The other thing is that also take up other leadership positions. You might think it is not necessary, but taking like a shift in charge, other minor things that you can actually put in your personal statement when you're applying for jobs. It's also critical, isn't it?
Yes, very, very, very much, yeah.
Great. Then, of course, you need to work very hard at your workplace because references are also key, isn't it?
Yes, very important. I mean, nobody can give you bad references, but it's nice to have that glowing reference, because I think one of the reference questions on the reference forms is, would you rehire this person or something like that? And you want the answer to always be yes, because, you're such a hardworking person that they feel at loss losing you to somebody else. You understand? But just put yourself out there. Any opportunities, just as long as it's within your competence. Don't do things that are out of your because that can get you into trouble. Within your competence, try and do a bit more than what's in your job description.
Okay, great. So I mean, just to conclude on this, if there's someone watching who doesn't really know what your roles are, you did mention managerial role and all that, but viewers, we are speaking to Mrs. Josephine Arthur Amoah. She's a nurse coach and a mentor. She's into so many things. But Josephine, just tell us a bit about this. I mean, this is what we're talking about, moving from band 5 to band 7. Just to remind you that Josephine also has a YouTube channel. The name is Josephine Amoah. just search out for her, and she has some great stuff for you. So just check it out on YouTube. This is you as a Band 7 nurse or infection prevention and control nurse in two different uniforms, if I may call it.
Yes.
This perhaps depicts two different roles or two different
Yes.
things within the same role. Can you tell us what your roles are specifically? When someone is an infection prevention and control specialist, what are you into? What are your roles?
Okay, so as an IPC nurse, your role or your job description is determined by where you work. So for example, when my first Band 7 role, when I was in the hospital, in a private hospital, I was the lead for infection control. So I was responsible for ensuring that IPC services in the hospital was top notch. You understand? And it's like a big umbrella, and there's a lot of things underneath that I need to ensure that the hospital achieves to be compliant with the Health and Social Care Code. Okay, so that was that one when I was in the hospital. So I think, like I said, if you're in a hospital, your role might be a bit different. And now I work as a Band 7 in a clinical commissioning group. So what a commissioning group does is that it buys healthcare services. So we commission GPs, hospitals, community hospitals, mental health services, all those things. And as part of that commissioning, the hospitals, the organizations, the GPs, we call them providers, they need to adhere to infection prevention and control, the Health and Social Care Code. All right. And it's like it's got a 10 criteria that they have to adhere to. So my job as a manager, an IPC manager or IPC manager, is to kind of like gain the assurance from those healthcare professionals, ensuring that they are abiding by those rules and regulations. And if they are not, what can we do to support them? And it's a huge role. I can't go into it like 100%, but that's like what I do. I have to kind of get the assurance on behalf of the CCG to say they are adhering to the Infection Prevention and Control Health and Social Care Code. And if they aren't, what kind of support do they need? What do they need to help them to get to where they need to be? Okay. And then we provide that support if we can. And majority of the time we can do that, yes.
So in essence, what you're saying is that in your previous Band 7 role, you were working quite clinically, isn't it?
I was clinical, yes, I was clinical, doing the trainings, doing the audits, doing everything that obviously an IPC nurse would do, but I was in the hospital. So, okay. I mean, sometimes I'll be reviewing wounds and surgical wounds, stuff like that, catheters, somebody's got an infection, they have to investigate. There's a lot of things I used to do, but I was a bit more hands-on than it is in this job. Like this job, I'm working from home Monday to Friday. I've got my computer and my double screens here that, it's more of a supportive managerial role. So I'm not as clinical as I was in my previous Band 7 role, but I am still doing the same job, but in a different way.
Okay. So, I mean, for nurses who are watching us or people who want to go into nursing and they are looking at perhaps you don't want to be strictly by the bedside all the time, you can still go into managerial roles that will even expect you or require you to work from home. I mean, that's what the norm is for a lot of people at the moment. Yeah. Or you could still be in the hospital, but yet you'll be working from an office. That is a possibility, depending on the facility you are working with. Is that the case?
Yes, that's the case. Definitely, that's the case. There's a lot of nursing is so diverse, and I always keep saying there's so many things that you can do. If you don't like the bedside, and not everybody's gonna like the bedside, There's a lot of specialties, a lot of things you can do within the healthcare that is not bedside nursing.
Okay. So for those who are watching us, if there's someone who does not have, I mean, did you require any postgraduate qualification before you could get this job? That is one. And if someone, because I know they recruit people who have both diploma and degree from overseas, if someone has, let's say, a diploma, does not even have a degree yet, after working for a few years or even a year or two, can the person still apply for such a role? Or do they require any specific qualification, like postgraduate, masters, or anything before you can get that role?
Okay, so when I did my nursing many years ago, it was only diploma. There was no degree. All right, so I haven't got a degree.
Okay.
But well, I haven't got a nursing degree. Let me put it that way, because I've got some postgraduate degrees. So
Okay.
when I applied for the first band 7 job, I didn't have any postgraduate qualifications. But when I started that job, I had to do obviously some courses. So luckily at that time, the Royal College of Nursing were just piloting their infection prevention and control module. That was like a level 7 degree, master's degree level kind of thing. So I applied for that, and I did that for 6 months. And then after I did that, I also did a level 5 in leadership and management. This was all paid for by myself. And I also did a level 7 in health and social care management. Again, I was that at that time when I did that course, I had left my band 7 job because of childcare issues. So I went to work. I did a band 7 for a year and a half. Went to work in a care home for a year. So during that care home job, I was working nights, and that's when I enrolled myself onto that level 5 and level 7 postgraduate degrees. And I was doing that alongside my night shift. I was doing those. I did the courses one after the other, but I paid for them by myself on my own independently. And so there's a requirement that if you're going to do a band 7 job or a band 6 job, they'll require you to have some sort of postgraduate degree.
Okay.
But what it is, you can negotiate. It depends on the kind of experience you have behind you, and it depends on if you're someone who's willing to learn. Okay, because when I did the interview for the first band 7 job, what I said was, I know that this job requires a postgraduate in infection control. I haven't got that, but I've got these transferable skills, and I'm willing to enroll myself onto these courses. And by that time, I had already started looking into the infection control master's degree. So I was already speaking to other, universities. So I was doing the background work, and that showed them that I was willing to undertake that training. You understand? So it's not always about what you have now; it's what you are capable of achieving and what you can bring to the table. But if you have that postgraduate degrees, it puts you up there. If you haven't, it shouldn't stop you.
Okay. So in essence, you basically had the band 7, but with a condition to complete a postgraduate. Is that
That's
right?
it. Yes.
Okay. Great. I mean, viewers, if you are watching us, leave your comments, send in your questions. I mean, if you have any question for Josephine, please send that in. We will definitely ask her. You are watching the Discovery Show, TDS TV, here on YouTube. Please share the link with others. Josephine moved from a band 5 to band 7 as a nurse. She's now an infection prevention and control nurse specialist.
Meet Mr. X, an unhappy businessman who has been waiting for days for his goods to be delivered. Unlike Mr. X, business is booming for Mr. K because of his efficient partnership with Hembeck 60 Hub, also known as HB 60 Hub. We are an online platform that sources for goods from across the globe. We only pull high quality standard products from anywhere in the world and ship them right to your doorstep. Be it watches, clothes, bags, and many others. Do get in touch by contacting us on www.henbeckagency.myshopify.com, or you can call us on +233 546 022 952 or hembeck.travels@gmail.com. Hembeck 60, truly a world of endless possibilities.
Thank you very much for sticking and staying with us here on the Discovery Show. Here on the Discovery Show, we say yearn to learn. So if you need any books, bags, you need clothes, you need watches, you need all these footwears to actually be sourced from very, 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 very great, manufacturers and sent to you or shipped to you wherever you are across the world, please contact Henbeck 60 Hub. Henbeck 60 Hub. The name is HENBECK 60 Hub on +233 546 022 9292 +233 546 022 952 or henbecktravels@gmail.com, henbecktravels@gmail.com, or just on Facebook, send them a message at Henbeck 60 Hub. They are the proud sponsors of this program. My name is Precious Adadidiodu, ably produced by James Kwabena Opong, and I've been speaking to Mrs. Josephine Arthur Amoah, who is a Band 7 nurse, infection prevention and control specialist nurse, working with the Clinical Commissioning Group of NHS. And she shared some amazing stuff with us. The most important thing here is that if you are a nurse and you want to seek some career guidance, you don't necessarily need to move from Band 5 to Band 6 to Band 7. You can jump as she did. And we hope you find some great insight and encouragement in that. So Josephine, you have written a book. You are also an author. And you didn't just write anything, but you said how to be a great nurse, 15 characteristics of being a great nurse. Share a bit with us. What inspired you to write this book? Why that title? And especially those watching us, share some few nuggets with people so that we all want to be great nurses. So share that with us briefly.
Okay, so in 2020 June, I so when I qualified as a nurse, I always felt a bit lost the first few years. No mentor, nobody to kind of direct me, because I didn't even know that you could become a Band 7 specialist nurse from a Band 5. Like all these things were unknown to me. So I went through obviously like 8 years of nursing without progressing much, and then I did progress, and then I realized that actually, there's so much that people don't know about. So in 2020 June, I decided to offer mentorship to 10 African nurses in Ghana, African nurses or student nurses. Sorry, three of them. I advertised for 3. I got 10 people that signed up. So I ended up mentoring 10 student nurses and nurses from Ghana. And I think during that mentorship, I was obviously telling them how to be great nurses. Some of them were going to go into the national service. Some of them were going to write their final exams and all that. So I was kind of like sharing with them the things, the characteristics that, or the soft skills that if they have, it will make them better placed in their environment, make them progress and all that. And then I thought to myself, look, whilst I'm telling these student nurses and nurses all these things, it means that for every cohort of nurses that I get on for the mentorship, I have to tell them the same thing. So why don't I put that in a book so that I can share it with nurses everywhere? And I mean, location shouldn't be a boundary. So I started writing the book. It wasn't going to be a big book as it is now. I thought it was going to be like a simple few sheets. But as I kept writing, I don't know how I did it, but the idea came. And I didn't think I could do it, but I did do it. It took me a year. And I mean, when the ideas kept coming, it just wouldn't stop. Everywhere I was writing on tissues, on papers, everywhere I was, the ideas were coming. And so I was putting my ideas down. And that's how come How to Be a Great Nurse became a book. Now, one thing I always say is that I didn't write the book to say that people are not great nurses or they're not good at nursing. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is not right, but it's just to say, these are the things that if you do would help you become better nurses. You understand? So whatever it is that you do, whatever skills that you have, this book is going to serve as a guide to complement those skills. Okay. And for those that have not read the book are in like 15 chapters, and every chapter talks about one characteristic. And it just I describe the characteristic, and then I kind of break it down how you can adopt those characteristics. And in some of them, I do give my own experience of how I have adopted those characteristics and how it's benefited me or not. You understand? And then there's a reflective bit at the end of every chapter that actually gets you to kind of stop, reflect on what you've read in that chapter and reflect on how either you've used that characteristic or how you would adopt that characteristic going forward. So it's a very easy to read guide. I intentionally made it easy, it was written in simple English because I didn't want it to be academic book. I wanted it to be a simple guide that you can take anywhere. You can just flip through. It's very easy to read, very easy to digest. You understand? So it's just a simple guidebook. And that was launched, I think, last year, July 2021. And the response so far has been great. It's something that people have been looking for. And that's the review that I got. They've been looking for that. And they've never had that. And I, for one, when I was a student nurse and when I graduated, I would have loved to have something like this.
That's great. I mean, Josephine, thanks very much for such thoughtfulness. Is there any highlights of the book? Anything you want to say to to whet the appetite of people, to inspire them to go and buy this book? Is there anything, one or two things about it you really want to tell people so they can go and buy?
So apart from the book written in simple English, easy to read, easy to digest, it's something that you can take with you everywhere. You can. It's not just for those that are newly qualified or those that are student nurses. Even seasoned nurses, you can get something from it. And I think one of my favorite things about the book is the fact that it tells you how to adopt, what you can do to adopt that characteristic, and also that reflective. Because I think with as nurses, reflection is kind of embedded in our practice. We are always encouraged to reflect on our practice. So when you're reading this book, you're not only just reading it for the sake of it, you're reading it to actually gain something from it and see how you can embed that into your practice going forward. I think that's the two most important things about the book for me.
That's right. And for me, it fits tightly with what we've discussed about career progression. If you really
Yes.
want to progress, then obviously you want to be a great nurse. And you've explained that brilliantly. It doesn't mean we are not doing well in our own aspects, but of course, I mean, there's always room for improvement. So we want to
Yeah.
improve upon ourselves, and those characteristics will put us in a better position to achieve whatever we want to achieve. So thanks very much. And I'm inspired by the fact that despite your busy schedule, you've been able to write a book that will guide many others, especially those who are struggling. They don't know what to do. How do I go about things? So if there's someone who wants to get this book, how do they get this book?
Right. So at the moment, the book is available on Amazon. And
Okay.
for those of you that have no access to Amazon, it's also available on Seller. So it's SELAR for those that are in Africa. And what I've done is, when you go on Amazon, obviously it's a bit more expensive than on Seller because the book on Seller is aimed at the nurses in Africa. Okay, so it's a bit cheaper there. It's about $2 or £2, about 30 cedis, because I know how difficult it is financially for nurses back home. So I've reduced it significantly so that everybody can have access to the book and to kind of glean, some knowledge from that as well. There's also there are plans to make the book into a course, so a 15 module course. So watch out, that should be coming out hopefully by the end of this year. We are aiming to get to every nurse in every corner of this world. That's the plan.
That is a big dream, and I pray and hope it comes to pass as soon as
Amen.
possible. Thanks very much for being an inspiration. I'm sure this will warm your heart. So this is from Nuruddin Wayma. I hope I got the name right. He says, Mrs. Josephine is such an inspirational figure. She made me who I am today through her mentorship training. God bless you, sister. Africa is proud to have you. And not just that, there's another one from Tyra. Anan says, or Tira, I hope I got the pronunciation right. This is Josephine Amoah is such an inspiration who always assists me with my university research. God bless you. So these are great comments coming in. And it brings me to my next point, mentorship. You are into mentorship. How do you really go about that? If there's someone watching us, either someone who has worked for so many years, a new person, if they need some sort of mentorship, I know you have a special organization that deals with us. Talk to us briefly about that.
So for the mentorship, I've got my website where they can go and explore and kind of decide what they want from me as a mentor. But there are packages. I've also got the mentorship academy. So it depends entirely on what the individual person is looking for in terms of mentorship. Some would come and they'll be looking for how to build a nursing portfolio or how to, again, become better nurses, whatever it is that they want. I tailor the mentorship to the person's needs. So it's not like a one size fits all kind of thing.
Okay, great. And if you're talking about mentorship, like you said, it's not a one size fits all thing. I'm sure definitely these two comments that have come in so far about specifically about how great you've been to them, it's a validation of what you're already doing. How has it been so far with the mentorship? Does it apply to only a specific group of people, or it doesn't matter irrespective of your role? Does it only apply to, I can say it's nurses and nursing students, But
Yeah.
how about people who do not even fall within this profession? Do you also have an avenue to support them in the UK?
I mean, if I obviously my background is in nursing, and that's all I know. So, if even if the person is not a nurse, if they want to come into the healthcare sector, then there's that provision as well. But again, it all depends on what it is they're looking for. If you're coming to me, you have to kind of know what it is you're looking for, because I cannot, do anything with you unless I know where you are, what you want to achieve, and how you want to achieve it. You understand? And then we can kind of like hold your hands and kind of take you through the process. But if you're looking for mentorship, you need to have an idea of what kind of mentoring you need, so that it kind of makes it easier. You should have an idea of what you want to achieve.
Amazing. I mean, I'm inspired, Josephine. You have been able to move from band 5 to band 7. You are an author, you are a mentor, you are a coach, you are supporting a lot of people to make progress in this nursing field, and that's quite inspiring. So I just want to encourage those who are watching us. If you have a lot of dreams, many things you want to achieve, don't see that as limit yourself to anything. Don't limit yourself only to the best side. There's so much to nursing you can do, and I'm sure Josephine here is already an inspiration. It tells you, she's already spoken of the fact that she's a family woman. She's combining all that, and I'm sure you can also do it. So reach out to Josephine. Her website is josephineamoah.com, and obviously you'll be able to find all the details about her. But before she leaves here, she'll give us some sort of contact, so that if we need her, you'll be able to get there. So just beyond this, you also have a consult that deals with other things. You're doing amazingly well. So tell us a bit about your consult. What do you do? I know sometimes you give people, like you can find on this screen, we are recruiting nurses, support workers, healthcare assistants. What does Bina Healthcare involve? What does it entail? And Bina Consult, what does it entail?
Okay, so I started with Bina Consults because I found there was a gap in the healthcare sector in Ghana. It was mainly aimed at Ghana because you've heard of all these negligent cases, the deaths, and all these things that are happening. And I thought, okay, I'll go in with a quality improvement hat on to see where the gaps are in terms of patient safety, and help to bridge that gap. And that journey was a bit tough. I started with one private hospital. The results were great. I think after I finished with them, they managed to pass some sort of inspection from the insurance, the National Health Insurance people. I don't know what they are called, but they managed to pass the insurance, the assurance visit. That side of things is a bit difficult because you know how it is in Ghana. Everything just takes forever. There's a lot of bureaucracy. And I think because I'm not in Ghana as well, it just makes it a bit more difficult to kind of achieve the things that I want to achieve. So on the Bina Consult side of things, that's what I do, but it's a bit slow at the moment because of the challenges I'm facing in Ghana. Okay. And then for the Bina Healthcare, is a healthcare recruitment and training agency. So I provide healthcare professionals to care companies so that they can help with obviously whatever they want them to help with. So at the moment, I'm recruiting care assistants from the UK only, not international. Care assistant from the UK. Let me just put that out there.
That was my question.
Because I've had the questions, people asking me, do I provide certificate of sponsorship? I don't do that yet. There are plans to do that, but at the moment, I only recruit from within the UK for a care company that they have packages in the community, so they need carers, and I help provide those carers to them, and that's what we do at Bina Healthcare.
Okay, so in essence, what you're saying is that if you're an international, overseas nurse, you should already have your own stay here. But if you, as they say, your side hustle, or you need a bank shift, you want to do something else, you want extra money, then obviously Bina Healthcare could be of help, isn't it?
Of course. Right. Yeah, you can always pick up ad hoc shifts, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any specific areas within the UK that you recruit for? Like, for example, if someone lives in Manchester, if someone lives in London, does it matter? Or you have only specific cities that you are recruiting from?
So at the moment, I live in the southeast of England. So, at the moment, I'm concentrating on Kent and the surroundings. Okay. But there are plans to make it a bit bigger as the company grows. But at the moment, it's quite small. I'm starting now. I've only been doing that for almost a year, so it's in its infancy, and there are plans to expand as and when things progress.
Okay, I mean, we are coming to the end of our conversation very soon, but there are a lot of people watching us who sometimes may want to also venture into registering consults. They want to get their own recruitment agencies. How difficult is it if you're taking a minute to two to tell them? How difficult is it to go that path to register, and how easy is it? Let me put it that way.
It's very easy. I mean, it's all done. Everything is done online these days, as you're well aware. As long as you've got all the correct details, you go onto the company's house website, register your company, pay the money you have to pay, and then that's it. But what you have to be careful is that when you're registering a company, there are what's it called? There are codes you have to choose. Okay. And you need to be careful that the code, because every code, there are different codes for every sector, if that makes sense. So if you choose the wrong code and you're doing something else on the ground, like if I'm Bina Healthcare, I'm doing recruitment, but I go and choose something else as my business code on company's house, you are in essence kind of doing things illegally. So you have to be very careful. If you're not sure what to choose, consult somebody who knows what to do, so that you don't get into trouble with the government.
Okay. I mean, this is very, very simplistic. Does it apply to those who may perhaps want to make it bigger and do some sort of serve as agencies to recruit internationally, or you are not too sure about that?
It does apply to them, but I think for if you're applying international, I think there are different things you have to achieve. Mine is very local, so it was quite simple, and straightforward. But I think if you're going to make it bigger, there's so many things you have to do. So the best thing is speak to the right people, do your own research, and then make the right decisions.
Great. I mean, lastly, this is what I want to ask you. I know it's been an interesting conversation. We can continue this over and over.
I know, right?
You kept mentioning right from the onset that whilst you're on the ward, you don't know if someone was specifically cut out for you to frustrate you. You had challenges and all that. How have you dealt with issues of discrimination, frustration at your workplace, right from being a band 5 up to this level? What would be your advice and top tips for those who are watching us, especially internationally recruited nurses who may be facing the same thing, or likely they may face it later in life? How should they handle it? How do they deal with it? So that at the end of the day, they don't compromise with the relationship they have with people at work, and yet they will make that career progression. What are your top tips for them?
So I would say, first of all, I always say to international nurses, you need to register with a union. Register with a union, because if you get into trouble or anything comes up, they will be the best people to advise you. And of course, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention names of unions here, but the union that, I joined RCN, and RCN provides £1 million of indemnity insurance for the healthcare professionals that signs up to them. So if there's any litigations or whatever, you have that backup, all right? And also, they can always come and help you with any issues you have, or advise you on issues you have in your workplace. So the first thing is join a union, very, very important. And also speak up, all right? You need to speak up, because if you're not speaking up, they will just think that, they will just continue doing what they're doing. And also know when to speak to HR. If you're not telling people your problem, you won't find solutions. Speak to HR, know what your rights are as an employee, and then take it from there. And the third one is that if you are not happy where you are, do not feel obliged to stay there. The world is literally your oyster when it comes to nursing. There's so many opportunities out there. Don't stay in one place and be maltreated. I've had experiences, and I've spoken up, and I can't even say anything right now, but I've had experiences, full stop, and I've spoken up. And if you're not happy, make that known. I can't say too much about it, but I would love to explain it, but I can't say too much. But yeah, just speak about it. Let your managers know, let HR know what's happening. If they can't resolve that issue, then you pack your bags and move somewhere else. I'm not saying it's going to be easy everywhere you go, but you have to give yourself that chance to find happiness somewhere else. Just like any other relationships. Just if it's not working, just pack your bags and go.
I mean, you just open a new conversation. That is speaking up. it's a new topic that perhaps time will not even permit us to delve into. But you know, I mean, in terms of context, culture, and everything,
Yeah.
picking up is interpreted differently where people are coming from.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's a big deal when they say speak up.
Yes.
Just in a minute, how would you explain that to someone watching us? If you say speak up, what do you really mean? How do they go about
Right. So I had obviously I was born and bred in Ghana, so I had that upbringing, and it was so difficult that when something is being done to you, oh Jai Maninka, you know, oh
Yeah.
just leave it, it will go. But it
Yeah.
doesn't work like that in this country. You know, it's a different culture because the English or the natives here, if something is wrong, they will stand up for themselves. So we need to learn to speak up for ourselves. It doesn't mean being rude, but it means being assertive. All right. Even if it means saying no to somebody or saying, look, I can't do it now, I'll do it later. Or just saying, look, what you're doing to me, I'm not happy with it. Can you not speak to me that way? Can you not disrespect me? That's some like nice and cordial. And if you find that that relationship is not working, you can always escalate it to your manager. If it's your manager that's making that issue for you, they have a manager. So you just keep escalating up and up and up, because if you don't do that, then people just keep maltreating you, and that's not fair, because we are all there to look after patients. We are all there to do our jobs. You understand? So no one person or no group of people should make you, to alienate you or make you feel that you're not worthy to be where you are, because everybody is worthy to be where they are.
So keep escalating until the issue
Just
is
escalate until you get a resolution. If not, pack your bags and leave.
interesting. And that is where the dilemma is for a lot of people. You know, for where most of us are coming from. If you say escalate, here we say escalate. Where some of us are coming from, it is equated to reporting. And that leads to victimization. So if you are reporting your senior colleague or your boss, so to speak, your line manager, then what you are thinking is this person going to victimize me? Which happens in a lot of places where we
It
are.
does. And I've had that experience. And
Even
I've kind
here,
of, yeah, I've had to endure thinking,
okay.
oh, I don't want this person, I don't want to get this person into trouble, or I don't want the work environment to be a bit hostile. But like I said, you go to work to do your job, and no one person or no group of people should make your job a not so nice place for you to work. So if it means reporting upwards, escalating, then you do it, because your peace of mind, your mental health is very important, because they will frustrate you. You get stressed, you get depressed, and then they go to their house and sleep at night, whereas you are awake at night, not being able to sleep because you're so depressed. And like when you're going to work, you feel panicky. You're panicked because you don't know how you're gonna experience at work, and that's not fair. You are professionals. You go to your work to do your job, so that the environment needs to be as nice and accommodating as possible. All right. So if you feel that it's gonna be a hostile, you're gonna be victimized, whatever, just forget about it, because your mental health, in the long run, your mental health is much more important.
Amazing. I mean, Josephine, we are not out of words, we are out of time.
Yeah.
But just let me give you 2 to 3 minutes. Just summarize what you've said. Tell us your key highlights. Yeah.
So I mean, from this talk and from many other talks I've done, it's, as a nurse, no experience or no skill is ever wasted. Nothing is ever wasted, because for me, I was able to write my book with that knowledge and the experience I have as a nurse. All right. I wouldn't have been able to write this book if I didn't have that prior experience or knowledge. So nothing is ever wasted. You need to you need to put yourself out there to seek opportunities. You need to be looking at putting plans in place to progress your career. It's not all about the comfortability of the here and now. It's about where you want to be in the journey and how you can get there. You need to invest in yourself. Don't leave it up to your employers to invest in you. Invest in yourself, so to achieve the things that you want to achieve. It's very, very important. Those are my 3 highlights.
Interesting. I mean, just let me ask this. Of course, I said that was the last thing. I know the NHS gives £1,000 to nurses yearly, perhaps for career progression and all that. Are there any things you recommend for people, especially those who want to go the line of infection prevention and control? What can they use it for?
I'm not sure about that £1,000, but what I do know is that if you, during your appraisals, they find out that you and your manager kind of come to a conclusion that you need to develop yourself in one way or the other, they put plans in place. And most NHS organizations, mine is very good. They are, I mean, I'm doing my master's now and they are paying for it fully. I don't pay a dime towards that. So it all depends on organization, and it depends on what it is that you want to study or want to do in terms of your development. So I'm not sure how much they give per se, but every NHS organization is different because they are all kind of independent in their own way, and they have their own monies, their own resources. So you speak to your manager, doing your appraisals, and then they will decide or they agree to what it is that you want to do. But you have to go with them with what you want to do, what you want to do career-wise, and then they will help you to reach that goal.
So in essence, what you're saying is that be open to your manager, your line manager as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Because
yes.
I know where some of us are coming from. We don't want to disclose our plans for life, what we want to do. And so what you're saying is that you need to let your manager know so that the person can point you in the right direction. If there are any resources to support you, they'd be able to tell you that this exists, go for this and go for that. Is that right?
Yes, but then, like I said, don't leave it entirely up to your, because there's sometimes like they'll say to you, look, we haven't got the money this year, maybe next year. But if personally you've got the resources, the funds to do the course yourself, I would encourage you to do that, because if next year comes, there's no guarantee you get that money, because there are so many other people that are looking for the funding for their courses, you understand? So if you can pay your way, like I did with my postgraduate health and social care management, I paid for that myself. You put that forward and then pay for it yourself if there's that opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Josephine Arthur Amoah. Josephine is a nurse, coach, and mentor. She's a Band 7 nurse, specifically infection prevention and control specialist nurse, working with clinical commissioning group of the NHS. And she moved from Band 5 to Band 7. That is the top story and the encouragement for you. If you've always thought you need to go through Band 5 to Band 6 before you get to Band 7, the good news is that you can have a quantum leap. You can leap from Band 5 to Band 7. And that is the motivation we have for you today. Beyond that, she's an author, she's a mentor, she's a coach. She has her own consult. She has her own healthcare organization. She's a mother, a wife, so many things that we can't mention. So that should be the inspiration for you. Don't stop at just being a bedside nurse. Don't stop whichever profession you find yourself. Don't just stop at your desk or whatever you do, but keep pushing. And I'm sure definitely you'll be there. We are motivated that you were able to come, Josephine. And I can see Saada Sadiq watching. Miss Sa, international nurse. Recently, she was the best nurse for Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. Sorry, Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Ghana. And she's doing amazingly well. Thank you very much for watching, Saada. So much love to you. Any last words, Josephine, before we log out?
My last words is keep pushing, never give up. Progressing up the ladder of the nursing profession is a lot of hard work. I mean, like I said, I'm working full-time, doing masters, doing this, doing that, doing that. It's a lot of sacrifice. I won't lie to you and say it's easy. It's not easy at all. So, I mean, you have to be willing to push yourself that much further, a bit more, to achieve what you want to achieve. So just don't stop dreaming and don't stop pushing for what you feel you're entitled to. Thank you.
Out explicit. Thank you very much. Viewers, we are grateful you were able to watch us. Kindly subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. I plead with you to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. The name is The Discovery Show TDS TV, a show that seeks to interview professionals in the diaspora and beyond who are making significant impacts in the area of healthcare, politics, religion, academia, and what have you. And as you've rightly witnessed today, the idea is to explore their lives more like a personality profile, know what their challenges and their successes have been so that we can learn from that. And what took them many years to do, we can take few years to do. So Josephine took 8 years to move from Band 5 to Band 7. But perhaps you can do that in 2 years. You can do it in 3 years just by knowing what it takes to be there. That is what we seek to bring to you here on the Discovery Show. So please subscribe to our channel, recommend to another person, share the link, and also subscribe to our channel on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and here on YouTube. The name is The Discovery Show. Once I say The Discovery Show, you respond Yearn to Learn. I'm sure you've responded where you are. The Discovery Show, Yearn to Learn.
To learn.
We've been speaking to Mrs. Josephine Arthur Amoah, and this show is ably produced by Mr. James Kwabena Opong. I have been your host, Precious Adade Diodu. See you some other time. Josephine, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you all so much.
You're
Good
welcome.
evening. Bye.
Life is a journey and sometimes can be a lonely road. When friends and loved ones forsake you, all you got to do is to be bold. I knew it years ago that those who undermined me had their minds undermined, but I never mind. They should keep on undermining because I'm a real good. I must undergo mining. Talking of mining, it leads to discovery. We mine to discover, we learn to discover, we observe to discover. Friends can uncover you at the same time discover you. But I don't want to discover you, I would rather discover more, so I go on the internet and I listen to words of wisdom and intellect. Availability of information, interviews of great men and women all over the diaspora and all nations. Creativity at its best, dexterity of research, no need to go through any formal education. I introduce you to the Discovery Show. Let your friends and your family know the struggles before they blow, their highs and their lows. Pay attention to this show, it will make you feel at ease. The Discovery Show on YouTube got the steez. Now Perry, the presenter, please pose for the camera. I want to hear you say cheese. We are airborne like a flu. I want to hear you sneeze. True. The Discovery Show is live on air, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. See ya.